Hey everyone, welcome back to Data Sciencey. In this video today, I'll be telling you about a new model called OpenThinker 32B that is said to have crushed DeepSeek. So let's see whether this model actually crushes DeepSeek or not. And I'll be telling you all about this model, so stay tuned until the end so that you don't miss any information regarding it. So let's get right into it. So here they're saying that they're scaling up open reasoning with OpenThinker 32B. And OpenThinker is an AI model which is made by OpenThoughts.ai. So OpenThoughts is the company behind OpenThinker 32B. So OpenThinker. So from the name itself, you can tell that this model is open source and it's a state of the art open data reasoning model. So it's a reasoning model and it's open means it's open source, and they're saying that we show that powerful reasoning models can be trained by scaling data, verifying reasoning traces, and scaling model size. So here they say that OpenThinker 32B outperforms existing open data reasoning models on a host of reasoning benchmarks, including math, code, and science. So OpenThinker, if you see here, next to it there's 32B means 32 billion. And here, if you see, there's the model, there's the data set, whether it's open or not, and there are the rest of the benchmarks. So let's see how this model compares to the other models. First of all, this model, OpenThinker 32B, it is said to have trained on just 14% of the data set used for DeepSeek. So from DeepSeek used like 800,000 data set, but OpenThinker 32B only used 114,000 data sets. Means from just 14% of the data set it has been used. And second is that it's open source. And the third, if you see the score of it in the benchmarks, first of all in AIME 24. So AIME 24 is the model for general reasoning tasks. So for that is this benchmark. And in that, if you see the score of OpenThinker, it's 66.0, and R1, it relates to the DeepSeek R1, and it's 76.7. So here DeepSeek is more than OpenThinker. And OpenThinker is also fine-tuned from Quen. So it's actually trained from Quen 2.5. Quen 2.5 is the model from Alibaba. So Quen 2.5, it is actually fine-tuned from that model. And if we see here in AIME 25, R1 is more than OpenThinker 32B. So OpenThinker 32B, the score of it is 53.3, and for R1 it's 55.9. For Math 500 is actually the benchmark for the complex math problems. So it's the benchmark if the model solves the complex math problems, that's the benchmark for it. So for OpenThinker 32B, the score is 90.6, which is high, and for R1 it was 89.4. So here R1 actually loses in it. And if you see another benchmark of it, which is called GPQA Diamond, so GPQAD is actually GPQA Diamond, and this is the benchmark which is for journal purpose questions. So journal purpose questions, it's for those tasks. And here OpenThinker actually wins from DeepSeek, so it's 61.6. And for DeepSeek R1, it's 57.6. Next is the benchmark which is called LCBV2, which is actually the benchmark on logical and critical thinking tasks. So if the model performs well in logical and critical thinking tasks, means it has scored well in LCBV2. And OpenThinker 32B got the score of 68.9, whereas DeepSeek R1 got the score of 71.2. If you see here, in two things, OpenThinker 32B has won, such as math and the journal purpose tasks, whereas in the rest, DeepSeek R1 has won. If you see here, DeepSeek R1 has scored more in three benchmarks, means more benchmarks, it has scored more. And if you see here, OpenThinker, it has scored more in just two benchmarks. So you can see it's not much beating DeepSeek R1. They say here all reported numbers are computed using our open source evaluation framework, Evalchemy. So Evalchemy is actually the evaluation framework which they use. And they say that R1 Distill 32B is the closed data model, which was fine-tuned from Quen 2.532b instruct on a dataset of size 800,000, reportedly containing 600K reasoning samples. So this R1 distal 32b was fine-tuned from Quen 2.532b. Regarding data curation means like from where they took the data and how they made the data set. Here they say that we train OpenThinker 32b on the same OpenThoughts 114,000 data set as our earlier model OpenThinker 7b. So the data set that was taken from the earlier model OpenThinker 7b, from that data set this model was trained. And using DeepSeek R1, what they did, we collected reasoning traces and solution attempts for a curated mix of 173,000 questions. Okay, so they used DeepSeek R1 to get the solutions of some of the problems and reasoning traces also, and that too for 173,000 questions. They say we are now releasing this raw data as the Open Thoughts unverified 173,000 dataset, and the last step in the pipeline is filtering out samples. If the reasoning trace fails, verification. And the full code, which we use to construct our dataset, is available on the Open Thoughts GitHub repository. So you can have a look of the dataset, how the dataset was used to construct. So that is available on the GitHub repository. And the raw data is named as Open Thoughts Unverified 173,000 dataset. And here this last step was for verification. And after that, the dataset was verified. And as requested by the community, we have updated the final Open Thoughts 114,000 dataset. Okay, so this dataset was the correct data set, like the filtered and how the correct data set to contain a metadata configuration that includes separate columns for problem, ground truth solution, test cases, starter code, DeepSeek reasoning, DeepSeek solution, domain, source. So these are things which are added as separate columns in the data set, which is called the problem, ground truth solution, test cases, starter code, DeepSeek reasoning, DeepSeek solution, domain, and source. And let me tell you what all these things means. So first, the problem. So problem is actually the question or the task that the model is supposed to solve. The second is ground truth solution. So what is the correct answer or solution to the problem that the model is supposed to match? And the third is test cases, means the type of coding related problems. These include the test cases that the solution should pass. So starter code is actually the initial code given to the model to help it start solving the problem, especially in coding challenges. And DeepSeek reasoning is the reasoning that the DeepSeek uses to solve the problem. And DeepSeek solution is the solution which is given by the model DeepSeek. Domain is actually the category or the field of knowledge the problem belongs to, such as math, coding, or science. And the last is the source, means the origin or source of the problem, means from where the data set or the real world problem was taken. And after that, the verification was done. For the verification, what it was done, they verified the answers and they eliminated the incorrect responses. And you can see here the score of it. Like for OpenThinker 7b, and the data set is 114,000. And in that, if you see the score of AIME 24, 31.3, in AIME 25 is 30.7, in Math 500 is 84.4, in GPQA Diamond it's 38.9, in LCBV2 it's 41.8, and in the unverified one for OpenThinker 7b, the data set used was 173,000. In AIME 2024, the score was 34.0. In AIME 25, the score was 29.33. And in Math 500, the score was 83. In GPQA Diamond, the score was 39.4. In LCBV2, the score was 43.8. In OpenThinker 32b, the dataset was, of course, 114,000. In AIME 24, the score was 66.7, which is higher than OpenThinker 7b. In AIME 25, the score is 53.3. In Math 500, the score is 90.6, which is pretty high. Then OpenThinker 7B. In GPQA Diamond, the score is 61.6. In LCBV2, the score is 68.9. In OpenThinker 32B Unverified, for the dataset of 173,000, for AIME24, the score was 60.7. In AIME25, the score was 44.0. In Math 500, the score was 90.0. In GPQA Diamond, the score was 60.6. In LCBV2, the score was 69.2. And here down also there was the data generation verifier, like such as the LLM Judge for OpenThinker 7B and LLM Judge for OpenThinker 7B. These were two, and their different data sets were used, such as 114,000 and 83,000. And for even for Math Verify, the data set used was 114,000 and 83,000. And you can see here the score. And regarding the training, okay, so how the training was done. So they fine-tuned Quen 2.532b instruct on open thoughts. They fine-tuned Quen 2.532b instruct on open thoughts 114,000 for 3 epochs with a 16,000 context length using Llama Factory. So using Llama Factory, they fine-tuned it for 3 epochs. Now 3 epochs means 3 times this data set was passed through, and the context length was 16,000. Now, if you want to see the full training configuration, that is provided in their repository, but the OpenThinker 32B was trained using 4 8 into H100 P5 nodes over a period of 90 hours. Okay, 4 8 into H100 P5. Now, H100 is the NVIDIA GPU, means 8 H100 like this. 4 were used and P5 were the configuration for the hardware, and the time used was 90 hours, which was totaled into 2,880 H100 hours on Toyota Research Institute's AWS SageMaker cluster. So on Toyota Research Institute AWS SageMaker cluster, this was tuned, or you can say the training was done. And the OpenThinker 32B Unverified was trained using 96 nodes of 4A100, 64 GB per GPU. So 4A100. A100 is NVIDIA GPU, the NVIDIA Tensor Core GPU, and 4 of these, in which each GPU was for 64 gigabytes, and over a period of 30 hours, means more than 30 hours, in which the total hours were 11,520 A100 hours on the Leonardo supercomputer. So on Leonardo supercomputer, this training was done. And they say that we have launched this Open Thoughts project as a goal to create an open data model that matches the performance of DeepSeek R1 Distal Quen 32B. And they say this gap is now almost closed, and we are excited by the rapid progress in the community over the last few weeks in building open data reasoning models, and look forward to continuing building on each other insights. In conclusion, I would ask that what do you think about this model? So is this the start of something huge in the AI world, or it's just a fluke? So how do you see this breakthrough impacting the future of AI and reasoning models? So drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love to hear your take on this. And if you're as excited about these game-changing updates as I am, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more insights. Catch you next time. Bye bye.